In this video, we're going to look at how well two variables are related to each other. We talked about the line of best fit. That would be the pattern that they follow. Now, in correlation, we're going to talk about how well does the data match that line that we just found. Correlation is a measure of how well two variables are related to each other, and the correlation is always going to give you a value between plus and minus 1. Now, what do those numbers mean? A positive number, in other words, a positive correlation, means that if one variable increases, the other increases along with it. And they work together with that. In other words, in a line of best fit graph, you're going to have a line, and as one variable increases, the other one does, you're going to have a positive slope to your correlation, to your line of best fit. A negative correlation means that if one variable increases, then the other decreases. In this case, as one variable increases, the second variable will decrease. So as x increases, y will decrease, and vice versa. This means that on your scatter plot, your line of best fit is going to have a negative slope. Little to no correlation, that would be a value of somewhere around 0, right in the middle. Little to no correlation means that if one variable changes, it's not likely to have any big impact on the other variable. It may affect it, may not. They are relatively independent of each other. All right, let me show you more of what this might look like. Here I've got a number line going from -1 to +1, showing different correlation values. A correlation value of -1 means that the data is highly correlated in the negative direction. And you can see down here, let me get my laser pointer, that the data is all following this line very closely. That means high correlation. And the line has a negative slope to it. So it's a high negative correlation. Generally, if you're somewhere between -1 and -0.7, that would be a high negative correlation. Now, you could have a negative correlation, but the data is more spread out, and it's like, it kind of follows that pattern. Not super well, but it does kind of follow that trend. There you would have a correlation somewhere between -0.7 and -0.3. These are rough values. These would be moderate negative correlations. By moderate, we mean it sort of has that tendency. We can see the pattern, but it doesn't follow super well. If it's somewhere between plus or minus 0.3, then that's where we're going to say little to no correlation. Basically, you're going to have to use your imagination pretty hard to see a correlation. You can look at these points and there's a line there, and it's like, does it really follow that line? Well, maybe. Not very well, though. There's very, very little correlation. If X value changes, Y value can do anything. It can increase, it can decrease. They're not very dependent on each other. Then if you get somewhere between positive 0.3 and positive 0.7, you get a moderate positive correlation, meaning the points are all following that trend, but not super closely. But there is that trend there. And if it's between 0.7 and 1.0, that is a very high positive correlation. In this particular one, the points are extremely close to the line. That is a very high correlation. Okay, that's another way to think of it. The higher the correlation, the closer these points are going to follow that line. If we were to have a perfect correlation, then theoretically those points would be all on the line. But that's very, very rare that we're going to ever see that. So there you go. That is a summary of correlation values. In the next couple of videos, I'll show you how to actually calculate the correlation values. But the bottom line is correlation is going to be some value. We usually indicate it with an R. And that R, or correlation value, is going to be somewhere between -1 and +1, somewhere in there. -1 is high negative correlation. +1 is high positive correlation. 0 right in the middle means no correlation.